Hello, welcome back to the video. And in this video, I'll continue with the course on Solidity. And in this course, we'll be talking on loops. So in loops, we have different types of loops. In Solidity, we have our while loop, our do while loop, and our for loop. And our while loop is the basic type of loop that we have, that all programming languages have. It just iterates over a particular value as long as it's correct. Then the do while loop is the same thing with the while loop, but the code is first executed before the condition is checked. Then the for loop, it just combines everything we have in the while loop. Instead of splitting our initialization statement, our condition, then our increment statement is compressed and placed into one statement, which is our for loop. So we'll get more understanding as we practice this. So let's continue. Let's get started. So to use a while loop, or to use any loop, you must have your initializer statement, which initializes the counter or the loop or what is going to be checked. Then you need your condition. I'll be using in the while loop, your condition is placed here. Let's use 4 in this case. So this is your condition statement. Then the next thing you will need is the code that you need to run. Then in our case, we want to have the sum of all the n. So for each time the counter counts, it will add the value of n. Then the last thing you need in any loop, it's your increment, which is how many value are you adding to your n. So your n value changes. If your n value does not change, you create an infinite loop which will crash your system if you are running a local test, or it will cost you infinite gas fee, which is not what we want, because we don't want to waste our money on gas fee. So return the sum. So in this case scenario, what will happen is the sum, which is when we initialize a uint value, is always 0. Is 0. If it's 0 plus n, which is the first n we have is 0. So 0 plus 0 gets 0. Then the next one plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, that should give us 6. Yeah, that should give us 6. So let's run this and test this out and check our code. So test this, get the loop. We have 6. So perfect. Got exactly what we needed. So let's comment this out. Before we do that, we need to understand what loop controls are. Loop controls is what allows us, in case we need another condition to be true, we want to be able to either break our loop or skip over a certain value. So for example, we have to use our loop control, we need to set a condition. Let's say when n is, let's say 2. For example, we want to break our loop. So once it gets to 2, we will immediately escape the loop. Get? So let's do that. That means once it gets to 2, this loop will stop. It won't get to 4. It won't have the opportunity to get to 4 or to get to 3 or anything. It will just stop. It will end at 2. So let's test this out. You see, it works perfectly. Run this. You see, it's just 4. It's just 3, which is 1 plus 2, which is 0 plus 1 plus 2, that is essentially 3. So that's it. What the break does is simply pause the loop short, and you will not be able to continue that loop. So another loop control we have is continue. What this one means is it will simply skip that value. For example, so if we to run this, if we have an issue, let's run this. We'll see if we get an infinite loop. If everything is, let's set this out. You see we get an infinite loop because it will skip 2 and it will not do this value here. That means everything below here will not work. You just continue. So we are not adding any new value. You get? We are not adding any new value. So it simply just skips it. We are not having any new value. So what we do, we move this to here. We move this here and we deploy this again. So if n is equals to 2, if I do this, it won't change anything. I don't think it would. So I need to move this to the bottom. Let's move this entire stuff to the bottom. No, I think we still have the same condition. We need to move this to the bottom. And this will effectively change the way our code is run. It change the way our code is run. So I did not want to move this to the bottom, but you get the point from here. You see, once it's 2, it will simply skip 2. It will not perform the summation for 2, but it will continue to 3. So I think we should get 4. 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. So since you are skipping 3, it will be 1 plus 2. No, 1 plus. You are skipping 3, so 1 then 3. So we get 4. So it is this one. 4. So this. So we got 8. So what happened is it skipped 2, which is 1, 2, but it added 4. So we basically by swapping these 2, we basically change the way our code operates. We change the way our code operates. So by just swapping these 2, the logic of our code changed. So if I'm to comment this out, you see we are getting we are getting 2, but the logic of our code changed. We are getting 10 instead of 7. If I'm to change this, move this one downward, we'll be getting 7. So sometimes the error you get in your code will be due to logic. The way you structure your code might affect the way your code runs. So let me just show you so you know what I'm talking about. Just by doing this, you see the value you are getting will be different. You should be getting 7. Oh, 6, sorry. You should be getting 6. Because we will not be adding the last 4. Just by swapping these 2. So you need to be very careful when you are constructing your code. So that being said, we understand what the loop controls are. So the next one we would do, let me copy this code out. Then comment this out with the do while loop. Then our code will be here, and our condition will be here. So if the code will run first, then we check our condition. That's just the basic difference between the while loop and the do while loop. The while loop, the condition is first checked, then our code is executed. So let's call this. Let's deploy this and call this. We'll get the same exact thing. Nothing will change. Just difference in how the code is run. Close this out. Comment this out. Quickly get 10. Oh, sorry. This is supposed to be less than or greater than. So we should get 10 as well. So that's just the basic difference. There's no main difference there. So the next one we'll be focusing on is our for loop, which is very simple. What it does is all these statements, which is our initializer, our condition, and our code, we place into one place. Then our increment is this. We place into this parentheses as parameters. So the first one is our. Let me change this to uint 0. Might not need to specify 0 because naturally it is 0. I than 4, then I plus. Then just put our code right here. Right. Place our code right here. No need for the increment. We don't need to have the increment here anymore. and okay, let's do this. If we should run this, we should get the same exact value as we got. 10, I think it's 10. Yeah, should give us 10. Okay, let me change this to I instead of N. So deploy this. Oh, this is affecting our code, as you can see. It is not getting to the last one because the increment now, essentially what this one is now, the increment is done at the end. Yeah, the increment is, instead of in our situation here, we first increase it before we do the summation. But in this case, we'll do the code before we do this the increment, which is this. If we were to write this, this will be at the bottom. So it is not adding the last 4. So that is why we are having this scenario where it's 6 instead of 4. So that's it. That's why we're having it. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Please ensure to like and subscribe. Bye for now.